5 years ago, Justin Bieber dropped Yummy. But it was also around that time when id Software graced mankind with Doom Eternal, one of the greatest first-person shooters ever made. It's so great, in fact, that I was totally alright with it possibly being the last Doom game to ever be made. I'm serious.
Perfection.
Ending the series on such a high note felt like a no-brainer to me. And I mean, the last thing I want to see is for Doom to get milked to death until it's just another live service husk of its former self.
Please kill me.
But yeah, at the same time, I'd be lying if I said I haven't been excited for Dark Ages ever since it was announced. And now that it finally is out, goddamn, do these beautiful bastards still know how to make an unforgettable game. I honestly don't get the people who say this game's soundtrack sucks. Like, yeah, it's not as memorable as Eternals, but tell me, does Yummy by Justin Bieber play on repeat in every level of this game? No? Well then
Shut the fuck up!
Okay, now, if you enjoyed this game overall, then congratulations, we are on the same side. This video isn't really aimed at you, but watch whatever you want. I'm not your fucking dad, this guy is. No, this video is meant more for the people who played Dark Ages then said it sucked because it didn't feel like Eternal's gameplay. And I understand. Coming down off the high of Eternal is fucking hard. Playing any first-person shooter after that game just feels so uncivilized. The standard that game set by forcing the player to never be passive by constantly moving, glory killing, and weapon switching was what made it great. But what I hope to get across with this video is that Doom is not one thing. It's a first-person shooter first and foremost, but there's a lot of different ways to do that. Making changes and mixing things up are how innovative games are born. If you sit there and try to compare the quality of Dark Ages to Eternal, yeah, you're gonna have a field day's worth of complaints. And don't worry, I got my own. The common ones I'm hearing right now are like how weapon switching isn't as necessary anymore. Why is there a sprint button? Why are the levels so massive? Where's the fucking glory kills? I know, I get it. I was right there a few levels in and already preparing to make an angry rant video like this guy.
And then you got Doom, Dark Ages, oh my god, Doom, boring game.
This video is a fucking masterpiece.
And I understand, once again, I'm sorry for the people out there who have had dealt a bad hand where they grow up, how their life is, they don't have dads or whatever it may be.
But the thing that stopped me from devolving to that level is that I really like that shield.
Not only is that practical, it is just badass.
Yeah, this fucking shield makes the whole game, and I don't say that lightly. Blocking, parrying, throwing, charging. The shield creates a whole new set of viable decisions to make, and it fucking works. Once you're getting into the flow of what this new combat system is about, oh man. Weapon switching is still a viable option, and all the new guns are fun toys to play with, but I pretty much only used the super shotgun and the plasma rifle the whole time, and I was alright with that. I was okay with not having to constantly use the right tool for the right job because that's not what this game is about.
Get this man a shield.
I was nervous when they were first showing off the shield because I thought to myself, why does the Slayer need a fucking shield? He faces his victims head on with a full erection. He doesn't hide. But go ahead, try not using the shield at all.
Well, why don't you go and find out yourself? Send me a postcard.
The shield is the key to all of this. Parrying attacks, ground pounding, zooming, throwing your shield at weak points, knowing when to block and when to shoot. Yes, you have a piece of cover to rely on now, but the game won't hesitate to fuck you sideways if you're not making decisions with it. These new Doom games aren't forgiving shooters that hold your hand, and Dark Ages is no different. Stand and fight might have been the tagline for this game, but you're still making fast-paced decisions. This game still plays like speed chess with crack. It just has a different rhythm to it. It's more about crowd control, timing your parries, and taking advantage of what the shield can do. It once again forces you to think fast about your next move. This is how you keep my attention. I thought this line was pretty funny.
How does it feel, Slayer?
I bet he couldn't wait to throw that shield at me after I've used it to kill all of his employees. Alright, so real talk now. The glory kills. Where are they now? I was prepared to impale this game over the fact that the highly detailed glory kill animations from Eternal were sorta missing. The Slayer doesn't pull his punches.
Show it. Show all of it.
But after finishing the game, it actually makes a lot of sense. In Dark Ages, you aren't fighting 10 dudes at a time, you're fighting 50. So the amount of animations had to be cut down in order to keep up with the pace. I may be crying on the inside, but I respect the long-term decision. And I mean, who am I kidding? It's not like the game didn't scratch my murder porn itch.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Okay, so now that I got all the main shooty rip and tear good shit out of the way, what are my main complaints? I only got two. Let's address the cyborg dragon and the mech in the room. Yeah, this stuff either needed more time in the oven or should have just been cut entirely. This game is a bit longer than the other campaigns with 22 levels, and that's because it's bloated with these great ideas for completely different games. Flying a fucking cyborg dragon, driving a mech and having a boxing match with Cthulhu itself. Yeah, on paper that shit probably sounds awesome. Hell, it literally sounds awesome. But why is it here? These moments aren't really that challenging, but they make up about a quarter of this game, and they are just...
This is boring.
If you had fun during these sections, comment below how much. You're being paid off. I may be alone when saying this, but I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it anyway. Nobody wants this stuff in Doom. Nobody cares for these half-baked mini-games. My guess is that they probably play these games to shoot stuff.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
If id had cut these more experimental levels and just made 15 tight levels of what this new Doom game is actually about, this video might have just turned out to be one giant shameless nut bust. Dear id Software, stick to what you're good at. Said me. Oh god, oh god, oh. You know, even though I just said I didn't really enjoy the dragon sections, I was actually really bummed out to see my buddy get killed. I had no idea what was ever going on in the story, but I was having the same thoughts going through my head as the Slayer when we saw our friend die.
I'm gonna kill you.
I'll be honest, Dark Ages isn't my favorite Doom game. You can probably guess which one that is. If I was in charge of this game's design and in Hugo's shoes, there's a lot of shit I'd cut. I'd cut down the size of the big-ass levels. I'd cut out some of the cutscenes. I'd fucking rip and tear out the fat. But then again, if I was in charge, it would probably be an unmitigated disaster at the office. But for what the core experience accomplishes, whatever this Captain America on meth thing is, I personally liked it. Not bad, id Software. Not bad. In order for the next Doom game to live up to my expectations, its theme must revolve around every gun being a foot.
that's simply not possible.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
I think the biggest takeaway from this game is that, yeah, it's different, but the series has always been changing and evolving and innovating. At this point, Doom means so many different things to different people, and that's fine. Thankfully, Doom hasn't generated a cannibalistic fan base like Star Wars. I didn't want Doom Eternal 2. I wanted what the series has always done, and that's to give me something new. Something that I didn't know I liked. It feels good to say that an old dog can still learn new tricks. Dark Ages might not be the Doom game you were hoping for, but at the end of the day, it's still Doom. The essence, the heart of what Doom is about is here. The speed, the sound, the non-stop action, the goofy-ass tone, the music. At the end of the day, it's still a first-person shooter about all the power in hell, cowering before one man. And what's more Doom than that? Thanks for watching.